Hi friends, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to entitle this When Your Hero Dies, and I'm recalling to mind another occasion when that happened. So for those that don't know, Baron David Ward passed away last week. I was blessed enough to do a recent interview with him on how to serve a habeas corpus, and I'm really grateful. That's happened to me twice in the last 3 weeks, where somebody I've been very fond of has died suddenly, but I've been fortunate enough to cross paths with them just before they did. So Tony Bacon was one. I hadn't seen him for a year, and we greeted each other, and then he suddenly died of a brain aneurysm, having had VAX number 1 and 2. And then with Baron David Ward, we tried to connect a few weeks ago, and his headset was not up to scratch, and it didn't work. And so I put it on the long finger, not because I don't love talking to him, didn't love talking to him, but because it meant I had to do some work, because he usually exhorted us to do some work. But I'm just so grateful that I just connected with him, and we had that last laughter fest. And one thing I'd like to say about connecting with him was, on the very first connection, I said to him, right, I want to record this. He's like, no, you can't record. I don't do videos. Everybody knows I don't do videos. Just go and read. Go and read. Read the files. And you know, a lot of people give me stick for this, but I'm like, right, well, this is too good, I'm recording anyway. And at the end of it, I sent him a message and I said, do you know what, I recorded anyway. Why don't you take a listen? And if you agree with me that it's valuable, we'll release it. And so he didn't blast me out of it for disregarding his directions. He watched it and he's like, oh, it's quite good. Yeah, all right then. And so began a wonderful, and I have to say that he held my hand. I know a lot of people have come across him being obnoxious, and I used to say quite freely, he can be obnoxious. He's like Victor Meldrew. He's like grumpy old man. Like from the very get-go, he said to me, no, you cannot record. And I'm like, right, well, I'm going to just record anyway. And it worked out. But sometimes you can see behind the gruff and cynical and war-torn exterior and see somebody's heart. And David held my hand through some of the darkest times in my last decade, at least. I admit to at least one video being 3 sheets to the wind, me, and not judged, and just pouring my heart out, like, effing and blinding, and like King Lear railing at the ocean, like, why will the waves not stop coming in? And he never once condemned me, and he always found a parallel. I think when somebody has suffered and gone to the very edge, they have a compassion and empathy which might be heavily disguised in rudeness, abruptness, political incorrectness, and outrageousness. But if you see the heart of a person, that was the person when I couldn't function. I just say, just hold my hand while I do the simplest of tasks. The other person that does this for me is Aaron, my assistant. It's literally when I can't function, it's like, will you just hold my hand while I order something off Amazon, or print off, like carry things through to fruition. And I guess the biggest testimony I can give to David Ward, Dave, Baron David Ward is he was able to kill fear. You know, they say fear is the mind killer, and he was a fear slayer. He could do it even by message with me. And I listened to, I've listened to some of his broadcasts, not just with me, and he talks about the fear he felt when he first got a £7,000 tax reclaim demand from the Inland Revenue. We've overpaid you, we put it in your account, it's our mistake, but now you need to pay us £7,000 or we're sending bailiffs around. And he talks about the real fear that instilled because the 7,000 was spent, and how he overcame that fear. And so I could confess to him my very real fears, and he could just digest and neutralise and then fire back at the enemy. I don't know if there's anything else. Yeah, so I was entitling this, When You Lose a Hero. I can't believe he was like 3 days shy of his 60th birthday. And it's too young, it's too young, it's too young. But he died fully alive and fully engaged and fully passionate. You know, the worst thing you could have written on your gravestone is they died with their potential intact. No, he pushed every boundary there was to push. He offended so many along the way. I don't know why he didn't scare me. He was just like, don't be mean. F this and F that. I don't know why I had a connection, but I'm grateful for it. And I remember somebody I loved back in the 70s and 80s, KEVIN RAISBECK. And you can find him in, you know, if you do your research. He was wrongfully jailed. He was a patsy for a big Ponzi scheme to so-called redevelop Luton Airport. And he was headhunted as the top salesman for Sun Alliance. And he was headhunted to raise investments for this Luton Airport extension. There's a story on my blog. It's called The Story of Kevin, about this. And he raised millions, I don't know, 1.4, I don't know, quite a lot of money in the 70s for this Luton Airport extension. And then it collapsed, and all these people lost their money. And Kevin, as the just innocent, you know, top salesman of Sun Alliance, who'd got pensioners to invest 30 grand, 40 grand, 20 grand, their savings, their life savings. He was the patsy and he went to jail. And he had been the partner of my best friend at the time, Lorraine. And then she jumped ship when he went to jail. She moved to Florida. And so Kevin was fighting for justice. He was in Wandsworth Scrubs. Then he was moved to Peterborough. And he was so eaten up with the injustice. And then the accountant of the whole conglomerate defended him. The accountant came out and told the truth. And it was a miracle, and it was going to get Kevin out of jail, and it was going to collapse the whole house of cards as to what had really gone on. And so Kevin had an appeal waiting at the Old Bailey, and the accountant's evidence was just breathtaking. And then guess what? The accountant suddenly died of a heart attack in his 40s. And it just blew the whole case out of the water. And Kevin was devastated. And what happened to Kevin was the bitterness and the rage and the poor diet in the prison. He did get an appeal at the Old Bailey, but 10 days before it, was it 10 days, a week maybe, he was diagnosed with a fast-acting terminal cancer. And he authorised me to go to the Old Bailey on his behalf and ask for an adjournment, or just for a pure out that his conviction would be thrown out because the accountant's evidence had proved it. And the judge in the Old Bailey said, no, on compassionate grounds, I'm going to order his release from prison because I've had a medical report saying he only has about 10 days left to live. So with hindsight, one might be tempted to say he was offed. But I'm just remembering the devastation he felt when his accountant, who seemed to hold the key to all truth, suddenly died of a heart attack. And in some ways I had that selfish thing where when Baron David Ward died, and I said to him in the interview, I'll put the link in below, and there's a whole playlist on my YouTube. Anybody can clip and make tributes, or you know, but I'd said to him, please don't die. You can't die. You can't have done all this work and all this research and then die. And it felt like my brother had died. And there was that panic about how will I cope without him. He's my go-to fear slayer. And the truth is, we can't put our faith in any man or woman. It has to be God. It has to be God. And my greatest hope, even though Baron helped me hugely, my greatest hope is that I impacted him in terms of bringing him back to his knowledge of God. He knew the Bible inside out, back to front. He was a genius. He was a genius. And he had walked away in cynicism and heartbreak. And I just pray by the time he got to his deathbed in the hospital, I think that's partly why he and I had such a connection in videos, was because he knows where I stand with Jesus. And I think he knew I was calling him back to that. Come on, come on. I know you're hurt, I know you're angry, I know you're clever, I know you're educated, I know you're cynical. But, you know, so that's my biggest prayer. I know somebody else, I'm helping somebody else with a court case at the moment, and he's pinning all his hopes on his forensic analysis expert. And my mind just says to me, if he died next week, you know, would that be you collapsed and gone? And it has to be that we have hope in more than men, no matter how magnificent they are. I love magnificent eccentrics, and Baron David Ward was one. Oh, but unless he empowered us, well, my goal is to empower people that we can't just put our hope in mankind, ourselves or others, because all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So my ultimate goal is to put everybody in touch with their Creator and His Son and the Holy Spirit, who guides us into all truth. Yeah, so I hope we meet again. I think we will, Dave. And I salute his family for producing a genius, a maverick genius. And to all those he offended. I don't think he and I ever fell out, but I just seem to, I seem to be able to see through the grumpy old man thing and see the heart, especially the broken-hearted. And that's where the strength comes from when you've hit rock bottom and you've endured and overcome. There's a strength that can't be fabricated, it can't be imitated. So, au revoir. Au revoir, Baron. I hope we'll meet again. I think we will. And as I say, the lesson is, although we can lean on each other and learn from each other and love each other, life is a terminal disease. Nobody gets out of it alive. And we need Jesus. And I pray that, I think that was our secret between me and Baron. It's like he knew the Bible inside out. And I could quote it and he'd be like, oh, huff, puff, huff, puff. And I'd be like, yeah, here's the truth. And I think he knew that. So big respect, brother. 3 days short of your 60th birthday. Wow. I'm due to be 64 in June. My sister was murdered, in my opinion, age 58. Many die too young. But look, you know, it's possible it was sepsis. But you died in the saddle, fully alive, fully engaged. And a blessing, a blessing. You were more than a brother to me, more than a brother to me. More than a brother. I can't thank you enough. You wouldn't even let me pay you. I even said, look, let me send you some money. He's like, no, we'll wait till you get your computers back. If I get them back, oh God, what will I do to let you know? You'll know. I guess the best thing I can do is to carry on what you told me to do. You know, and not panic that you're not physically there anymore for me to cry to or rant to or lean on. But I thank you for the time that you were. God bless.